Hi guys, if you're one of the longer term viewers of this channel, you know that in my last video I kind of announced that it would be the last waffle video, and I was really going to concentrate on flying and improving my flying. And as usual on this channel, things have changed a little bit. So just to let you know where we are and what's going to be happening in the future, if you've watched seen the comments and things like that, you'll know that I was off work for a week or two with a knackered back, and because I didn't really have that much else to do, I did my usual tinkering around with my quads, made a few videos, did some flying when the weather was nice. But what I also did is sent out a few emails, and it really started with, I saw on Unmanned Tech, which is a UK based quad company, a shop basically. I saw some mortars, Mr. Copper mortars, and I thought they looked really good. They were really pretty, and I liked the fact that they were called Mr. Copper because the name of this channel is Copper Top FPV. So on a whim I wrote to Airbot and basically said, you know, I make a lot of quad videos, I've seen your motors, I've had a look on YouTube and I can't really see any proper flight tests or anything like that in English. Would you mind sending me some? And somewhat to my surprise, they wrote back and said, if you send us some of your videos to look at, if they're any good, we'll send you some motors. So I sent the videos across, and they came back and said, oh, we'll send you some motors, do you want an ESC or two and a flight controller as well? And I was kind of floored at this stage. It had never really crossed my mind to approach companies directly. You know, everything that you've seen on this channel, boy, this little guy, was bought from my own pocket. So anyway, the long and the short of it is Airbot have sent me 4 Mr. Copper motors, and I've chosen the 2700 kV, and they're 2306s. They've also sent me the Nox 2.17, which, if you've been following YouTube and RC groups, is a really nifty sort of 20 by 20 mil based flight controller and ESCs all in one, similar to an Asgard but of course smaller, and the released version includes 30 ampere Cs and a lot of capacitors, and it looks like such a really good one stack solution to micro builds. So I'm really chuffed that they're sending that. They're also sending a more traditional Typhoon 4-in-1 ESC and an F4V5 flight controller. So anyway, that was great news, and that kind of spurred me on a little bit. So what I've done is I've approached various companies, really companies that I like the products that they make, or I like a particular product or frame or something like that. So really the purpose of this is to say this channel moving forward is probably going to evolve into something a little bit different. It'll still be me messing around with quads and flying them and probably breaking them. You know, it'll still be completely unbiased. There still won't be any affiliate links or anything like that. But if I can get suppliers to send me stuff to test, and that's really the crucial thing in this. What I'm going to be doing to everybody who sends me stuff is really making a proper build out of it, flying it, giving them feedback and seeing if I can you know, improve them in any way or anything like that. So anyway, this led to various other emails, and where we are right now is I've approached a number of companies. I've got 2 potential frames that should be with me in the next month or 2, both pretty new. I've approached Hyperlow about their new CG frame, which if you follow this channel, you know that the Hyperlow build was one of the first ones I did, and I absolutely love that frame, and the Hyperlow CG looks awesome. So at the moment he's really short of stock, and obviously he doesn't want to give his stock away, but he said in a couple of weeks he'll contact me and look to do something. So hopefully I'll get the Hyperlow frame to review. And there's a possibility of another race frame and bits and bobs. So I'm really excited about this. There's another couple of things that have cropped up in the pipeline. There's a couple of guys I'm talking to and giving any thoughts or anything on their own frames. So some sort of quite exciting things, so I thought I'd just really let you know. In terms of what I'm doing at the minute, the answer is not a huge amount. I've been playing around with various bits and bobs. This guy is the little 3-inch 360 degrees removable arm 3-inch frame that I looked at the other week, and this little frame continues to grow on me, and I'm kind of using it as a bit of a test bed. If you looked at my last video, which was the 3-inch freestyle video, I was pretty blown away at how my Avant Xero S3 handled the weight of the Runcam 3 on top. And that frame, nor the build, was never intended to be a freestyle quad. It was always built and intended to be the lightest possible, fastest possible quad I could make, of which it is. It's crazy fast. That 3-inch is faster than pretty much any 5-inch I've ever flown in terms of punch and agility, and even straight line speed. It's still really up there with the others. But it's not a freestyle quad, and to basically, I guess, let me go and get it actually. So this is it, and as you can see, what I had to do is basically use a load of foam and bits and bobs to get any sort of camera angle on it, because what I didn't want to do is use a big heavy 3D printed camera mount, so I've just used basically a silicone cover. And because everything inside was built so cramped and the VTX rungs along the top, it was pretty annoying to mount this camera on, and as you can see I used tie wraps in the end. So what I'm doing with this 360 degree frame, which is far better designed for freestyle because it's much chunkier and much well, potentially much stronger as well, because the top plate's a solid 2mm and the bottom plate is 3mm, and it's got tons of camera protection, etc. Because this is more freestyle related, but because this is a more freestyle related frame, what I'm doing at the moment is just playing around with ideas. I've got these Cobra 3200 kV motors from the sub 250 gram 5-inch that I broke, and I'm going to try these motors out. Because of this low kV, I'm not really expecting too much from these motors, but as I said, because it's a test bed, it just really gives me a starting place to move forwards. So in terms of the frame, I've made a few changes to it. The first thing I did was file some little slots in the top plate, and I did this to basically make it easier to mount a GoPro or a Runcam on top. In addition, because this frame's such a strong little tank, if I want to, I can also run a top mounted battery, which might be fun to test. The other thing I've done, which is probably more unusual, is because I was so irritated about having to mess around with foam, etc. to get the Runcam 3 on top, what I've done on this little guy, I've given him a slanted or sloping top plate, and this isn't finished yet. I'm going to add some washes, etc. just to finish it off, but basically what I've done is just sort of given it a 30 degree or so up tilt, and this will do two things. One, it will mean I don't have to use as much padding and mess around to run the Runcam 3 or later on a GoPro session, and two, when it's moving through the air, it should allow the airflow when there's no camera on it to run smoothly along the top, as opposed to hitting the air kind of and the air slamming against that. So it should help with wind resistance. So yeah, so that's really where we are right now. I'm loving this little frame. I've also mounted the rear arms higher than the front arms, and I've nicked that idea from the America frame, and the purpose of really doing that is just to see if it helps eliminate some prop wash. because while my Xero S3 flew really well, I did have some prop wash on it, but that will likely be because of the P gain being too high. So yeah, so lots to do, lots to play around with, hopefully lots of good things coming up, and expect to start seeing some flight footage and testing on this little guy soon. But as I said, I really like this frame. There's a lot you can do with it. I like it for kind of the reasons that I originally liked the RGX frame. It's such a solid little thing that you can kind of foul bits off and mess around with it really to your heart's content. And because the carbon's so thick, there's no issue about weakening the frame. So anyway, hope that was useful, guys. See you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.